Hello friends, it's Tim here from Mario Mayhem again to bring you some more game hacking action. Yippee! Today we are going to take a look at the 1991 Sega Genesis / megadrive classic known as Quackshot, starring Donald Duck, or as I knew it back in the day as simply Quackshot. But if you hail from Japan, you may even know this game as I Love Donald Duck, so make what you will from that title name. This adventure side-scrolling platformer features the Disney character Donald Duck alongside his nephews Huey, Dewey and Louie, as they attempt to track down a lost duck treasure which was once owned by the fictitious king Garazia. And if the box art didn't give it away, this game was heavily influenced by the Indiana Jones series, which is pretty awesome if you ask me. As a kid, I remember really loving this game for its vibrant colours and epic level designs, which made me feel like I was really travelling by plane to all of these fantastic locations to do some serious grave robbing. Archaeology. So despite being terrible at the game, it still holds a special place in my heart as one of the few Sega games I owned at the time. Plus, there is just something seriously satisfying about shooting enemies in the face with a plunger gun, but maybe that's just me. But today we are going to see what kind of mischief we can get up to in the game with the help of the game Genie and its Cody goodness. So if you're a fan of Donald, the Sega or video games in general, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you are new to the Mayhem, and let's go tomb raiding duck style. On with the show. So for a start, to already make our life harder, there are actually two versions of this game, meaning if these codes don't work for you, then it is probably your game version that is the problem. Secondly, for any cheats to work, you must enter the Master Game Genie code AJCA-AA2L before adding any other codes or your cheats just won't work. So starting off, we will take a look at the code AKSA-AA24, which gives you almost infinite power. This sounds pretty impressive, but really it just makes you invincible, at least to just about everything but the boss apparently. Naturally, this is pretty handy as you can just cop as much damage as you like from goons shooting tomatoes, turtles with boxing gloves, and whatever these trash can things lurking that jump are. It's a handy code even though the game isn't probably as difficult as I remember it being when I was a youngster. The next code we will take a look at is A4TA-ATCY. And when you use this bad boy, you can access 6 levels right off the bat instead of the usual 3. At first the map screen looks like normal, but you can navigate to other levels even if they don't show up on the map. I must have been a little bit too ambitious the first time I tried this code though, as I ended up on some messed up level name and when I tried to enter it the game froze. Ah well. This is a cool code though, to see some of the later levels, but the problem is you don't have any of the upgraded weapons to use to navigate them. But hey, I'm on a Viking boat, so I'm not complaining too much. Next up, we have one of my personal favourite types of cheat codes. Enter in the 2-line code CV2A-AA48 plus CV2A-AA7G. And now you can jump in mid-air repeatedly. Some call this moonwalking, others call it super jump, I just like to call it pretty fun. This basically means you can just keep hitting the jump button and you will be able to fly over the level. If you are lucky like me, you might even end up getting in a race with a bat through Transylvania, but only if you're lucky. When it comes to Quackshot, it's all about those plungers, baby. Well, if you enter in the code AFJA-BA4W, you can start off the game with the red plunger already in your stash. For those of you who don't know, this red plunger is needed to ascend walls, as not only do the plungers stick to the walls themselves, but you can then use them as jumping aids to get higher positions, which is needed to proceed through the game. Just be careful you don't get hit with some booms from the speakers in the second part of Duckburg. Surely they could have come up with a better enemy for this level? Anyway, this is super handy. You can also try the code AKJA-BA4W, which starts Donald off with the green plunger. This is basically the same as the red plunger, but now you can also use it to stick on flying enemies, which allows you to use them as springboards as well. Both of these codes are super handy and will help you get through the game a lot faster and a lot easier. If you enter in the 3-line giant code 9x9a-SCH2 plus 999a-RAH4 plus A99A-R796, you get some pretty interesting results. When you start the game, you are able to press the jump button to get this kind of free debug kind of movement ability, a bit like you can get in the Sonic games. This is super weird though. For me, it allowed me to instantly move around and not get hit by enemies, but I also couldn't collect any items either. Even more weirdly, I could still progress through the stages inside Mexico, for example, and then I would have regular movement, but once I shot, I got stuck in the shooting sprite for some reason. This is just a side note, but I thought it was still cool. However, this cheat code didn't register the true end of the level, where I would normally enter the tomb. I guess because you aren't really playing and you're in a debug mode. Also, you can't press the start button or anything for some reason, so you can't access any other items. It's super odd and I guess pretty useless for regular gameplay in terms of progression, but it is interesting to see that this happens on the Genesis again, and makes me wonder if there are always some of these hidden debug movement hacks for other Sega platformers. If you enter in the Game Genie code MC6A-AA78, you get some pretty interesting results. With this in place, you will be able to hit any enemies on screen no matter where you fire your plunger. This is pretty funny as you will just see plungers stuck in mid-air and some enemy down the line will be frozen as if they just copped a plunger to the mug. Unfortunately, this doesn't help with those dropped flower pots on the Duckburg level, but it is pretty awesome nonetheless. In this next clip, I'm using two mutually beneficial Game Genie codes. The first is 2KJA-BCK6, which lets you start the game with 15 pieces of popcorn, which is already super handy. But when you add in the second code, AKJT-AA2J, you will now have unlimited popcorn. To be honest, I never really used this item much when I was younger, as I never collected many and always misused them. But it's actually a pretty OP item, since it wipes out enemies completely, rather than just stunning them. There is also another code that you can use, AKJT-AA3T, which gives you infinite bubblegum. Of course, you will need to get past the first part of Duckburg to get this weapon, from good old Gyro, but now you won't need to return to him ever again as you can just keep firing your bubbles like it's no one's business. Of course, one of the best parts of this game is Donald getting rolled up by chilies. If you enter in the code AF8T-AAAR, you will only need to collect one chili for Donald to lose his temper. Meaning invincibility is pretty easy to get as long as there is at least one chili nearby. And the last code we will take a look at is RFPA-A6TR, and it is probably one of the weirdest codes for the game. Basically, Donald will be able to just walk up and over any obstacles without needing to jump or even needing the red plunger. This is actually a seriously fun code as you can just hold the right or left button and zoom up walls or boxes or whatever. I was pretty surprised when this even worked on the first level, where you would normally need a red plunger to proceed up the wall and then navigate to Gyro, but Donald just went to parkour mode and flew up the wall and even the cityscape without any issues at all. I did get myself stuck in Transylvania though, as instead of using the bubblegum shooter to proceed, I ended up going up the wall and getting stuck above it. So there are always some downsides to life, I guess. Anyway, that's it for today, my friends. I do hope you enjoyed hacking Quackshot starring Donald Duck on the Genesis with me. If you did, then be sure to smash a like on this video, subscribe if you are new to the channel, make a comment down below, and why not check out some of my other videos? You may just enjoy them too. And with all that said, I'll catch you soon, my friends.